TransByDef. I'm recording 2 videos this week because I'm going to be pretty busy next week, so I figured I would get another one filled in for you. And the topic for this week was being misgendered, and that is something that all of us at one point or another will be affected by. And my hearing for the wrong, pronouns and nouns is just off the charts. Somebody could be across the room and say he, referring to me, and it's like slingshotted into my ear. There's not a whole lot we can do with misgendering. Younger people have a much better time with it if they can get, blockers and transition earlier in life, but some of us, that's not an option. And surgical interventions, FFS type of stuff, and maintaining a more feminine body style, what will help. But not all of us have the resources to do that. So misgendering, I think a big part of that is related, how you're going to deal with family, friends, and, acquaintances, business relationships, with people that you're going to continue after transition to interact with. Last night, for instance, somebody across the room from me was talking and referred to he twice, and I'm going to address that with him because it's a frequent slip. But I'm kind of like past that now. Years later, it's not worth the aggravation to me or dwelling on it. The times that it's done. And this man didn't do it, but the times it's done in a hurtful way, then I deal with it different than the times where it's done where somebody, slips up. Now, if I'm going to be in a male environment, like the firehouse that I'm a member of, and it's predominantly men, there's like 4 girls there out of 30-something people, and all of them, for the most part, have known me from before. So with that, that being said, it's pretty hard for me to be hard on somebody that slips up. Like I said, it's not intentional, but it does happen. And there's more people that will get it right there than there is that gets it wrong. And every once in a while, I have to remind somebody, but for the most part, I do it gently. Like I'll say, hey, you keep saying he, and if you don't stop, I'm going to cut your balls off. and pretty much that keeps their attention for a while. and then I'll fill it out with some other lines like, one of me here is enough, but it's not. But I do have to, if it's in a environment of a mistake, then fine. But someone does it just to tweak me, well then all bets are off. And those people, for the most part, people that are my friends don't do that. It just doesn't happen. But everybody makes mistakes, as do I. I'm guilty of somebody. That's transgender, using the wrong now when I'm not on my game. Especially somebody that's very early in transition, very masculine, and talking in a very male voice. At times there was times that I did that. So I'm not going to throw rocks real hard unless they were done intentionally. Things like surgery will help. The occurrence of that be more manageable. FFS certainly, is one way of improving your chances of being under the radar. Your voice, your dress. A lot of people and I'm guilty of this. I promise I am. Early in transition, we go through the slutty period. And if there was ever a flag for, setting a flag out is walking into a store or to a kid's sports game or something in a black leather mini. Now, I never took it that far, but if you're going, to avoid the chances of being misgendered, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. So if you're going to Kmart, go like a Kmart girl. You don't get all gussied up and then be out of place, because the only thing that's going to do is draw attention to yourself. So I guess the misgendering tools you can use are pretty much anything that takes emphasis off yourself. Dress is a big one. If you're tall, as many M to Fs are, then don't wear high heels. It's that simple. Don't do that. You need to avoid that. Voice-wise, I don't care so much anymore. I'm kind of happy with where my voice is right here. It's not the best. It's been better, but it's kind of like where I settled, compared to what my old voice was. And so being able to do things like that, inflection in your voice, a middle C range on your voice, are things that will help you avoid being clicked. Misgendering is going to happen. It's going to happen all your life, unless you're really, really fortunate. And there's a fortunate, that is a really fortunate few for the most part. So learning how you deal with it up here, and what you're going to take to battle and what you're going to let go with the wind is two different things. And you can't, especially if you're a middle-age transitioner or a very masculine body, big bone masculine body, you can't be throwing rocks demanding. I mean, you can, and maybe you'll get a little bit better treatment, but I'm sure that it's not worth the entire effort put out to do so. So, things, that I did early on, I belonged to a transgender group, and actually 3 of them, and I was fortunate there was a couple chapters of Renaissance nearby, and I was able to go, and do things with people. Well, 7 transgender girls going into a bar attracts a lot of attention. There's no getting around that. So, pretty much part of me being, in a more stealthy mode to avoid being misgendered, was going with a genetic girl, making some genetic girlfriends. If I'm going out with a transgender friend, make sure that her mindset's where mine is, so that those other ways of blending are used, and that is really how you risk, you risk headaches for yourself and embarrassment. So I was misgendered once coming back from Trinidad. I went out, and I think I've said this in various meetings, and I was coming through the airport in Denver, and I hit a TSA agent, and I couldn't, I was walking around, and it was ski season, and I'm trying to get in to the line so I can get through and get checked in with the TSA to get into the gate area. And I was a bit frustrated. I was pre-op. I hadn't had FFS. I was working real hard at staying invisible. And I finally went over to a TSA agent because I couldn't find the entrance to this long rat's maze that they had to get through the TSA area. And I finally said, can you tell me where the entrance to this is? And this TSA girl, and I was tired, by the way. And I was stressed because I'm in an airport and all my ID is wrong. And I said, can you tell me how to get into the entrance here? I don't want to miss my flight. And she said, it's over there. And she pointed to the entrance. And then she looked at me, and that's when she clicked me. And and this is a TSA agent, which, you know, I probably could have got her job. She looked at me real close and she said, oh, look, it's a guy with earrings and dressed up like a girl. And I said, not only do I have earrings, I have tits and a dick. Do you want to see them? And she went, right there, it's over there, it's over there. And I went all the way through line doing these little things to her like this, because, you know, if you're going to embarrass me in a position like that, where you have no right, and that was ridiculing me, then you better be prepared for the wrath that I'm going to bring down on you. It was quite humorous, and I felt better. You know, I was angry and thought, oh, I could call and make a complaint, and you know what, long term, at that point in my transition, that's probably what it looked like. So I kind of let it go and slide off his shoulder, but I made sure I got my shot in before it was over. So, you know, I guess if you're going to deal with being misgendered, you got to have thick skin. You have to have a really clear perspective of how you are seen in public, and a lot of that you really have control over yourself. Not